This video is for educational and documentary purposes only. What you're about to hear is a real case. Viewer discretion is advised. You're watching True Crimes AI. On a quiet December night in Austin, Texas, a small yogurt shop stayed open just a little too late. Inside, 4 teenage girls laughed, talked, and went about their evening. But by the end of the night, that shop would become the scene of one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in American history. A fire would bring firefighters to the scene. But what they found inside was far worse than anyone expected. And more than 30 years later, no one knows exactly who did it. The place was an I can't believe it yogurt shop, small, casual, and familiar to the community. It was the kind of place where teenagers worked after school, where friends stopped by, where nothing dangerous ever seemed to happen. On December 6, 1991, 2 girls were working the late shift. Amy Ayers, just 13 years old, and Eliza Thomas, 17. Later that evening, 2 sisters stopped by to visit. Jennifer Harbison, 17, and Sarah Harbison, 15, 4 girls, all young, all with their lives ahead of them. It should have been an ordinary night, but then everything changed. As the evening went on, the shop remained open later than usual. The girls talked, likely unaware of anything unusual. But at some point that night, someone entered the store. What happened next unfolded behind closed doors, and no one outside heard a thing. Around 11 p.m., emergency services were called. A fire had broken out at the yogurt shop. Firefighters rushed to the scene, expecting a routine emergency. But once the flames were extinguished, they made a discovery that would shock the entire city. Inside the back of the store, they found the bodies of all 4 girls. The fire hadn't been an accident. It had been set deliberately, and it was clear almost immediately this wasn't just arson. It was something far more disturbing. Investigators quickly began piecing together the scene. The girls had been moved to the back of the store. They had been restrained, and each of them had been shot. The fire, authorities believed, was started after the murders, likely in an attempt to destroy evidence. And this is where the case becomes especially unsettling, because whoever committed this crime didn't act in panic. They stayed long enough to control for victims, carry out the attack, and then try to erase what they had done, which raised a terrifying question. How many people were involved? Despite the fire, investigators were able to recover some crucial evidence. There were signs that the victims had been bound using items from the store itself. Ballistics confirmed that a .22 caliber weapon had been used. Investigators also recovered biological evidence from the scene. At the time, DNA technology was still developing. Testing was done, but it didn't provide clear answers. Fingerprints were also collected, but none could be definitively matched to a suspect. The fire had done its job. Key evidence had been damaged or lost entirely, and the case quickly became one of the most complex investigations in Austin's history. In the early days, investigators followed every lead they could find. Tips came in from across the community. Rumors spread, fear grew. The idea that something like this could happen randomly shook the entire city. Years passed without a clear suspect. Then, in the late 1990s, everything seemed to shift. Police arrested 4 young men: Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, Forrest Welburn, and Maurice Pierce. Authorities believed they had finally solved the case. Confessions were obtained, and for a moment it seemed like justice was within reach. But then things started to fall apart. The confessions quickly became the center of controversy. Some of the details didn't line up with the actual crime scene. Certain statements contained clear inaccuracies. Details that the real perpetrators would likely know were missing or wrong. Defense attorneys argued that the confessions had been coerced, that the suspects had been pressured, interrogated for long periods, and led into giving statements that weren't fully reliable. And as the cases went to court, judges began to agree one by one. Convictions were overturned, charges were dropped, and the four men once accused were no longer considered responsible. Which meant one thing: the case was back to where it started, unsolved, with no confirmed suspects. Multiple theories emerged over the years. One of the most widely accepted is the multiple offenders theory. Controlling for victims in a confined space without anyone escaping would be extremely difficult for a single attacker. Another theory suggests the crime was random, an opportunistic attack with no prior connection to the victims, but others believe that's unlikely. Some investigators have considered whether the perpetrators had familiarity with the location or even indirect knowledge of the victims' routines. And then there are alternative suspects, individuals who were looked into but never charged. Each theory offers possibilities, but none have provided definitive answers over the years. Advances in DNA technology have brought hope. Evidence from the scene has been retested multiple times, but so far no conclusive match has been found. Authorities have stated that the evidence is still preserved, and with modern forensic advancements continuing to evolve, there is still a chance that answers could emerge. Even decades later, the case remains open, and investigators continue to review it periodically, waiting for something new, a match, a tip, a breakthrough. Today, the Austin yogurt shop murders remain officially unsolved. No one has been convicted, no definitive suspect has been identified, and the families of the victims are still left without closure. It's a case that has never fully left the public eye because of its brutality, its mystery, and the unanswered questions that still linger. For young lives were taken that night. Amy, Eliza, Jennifer, and Sarah. A normal evening turned into something unimaginable. And more than 3 decades later, the truth is still out there, somewhere waiting to be uncovered. Because cases like this don't just disappear, they stay with us in the silence of unanswered questions, in the hope that one day justice will finally be served. If you enjoy real, detailed true crime cases like this, make sure to subscribe, because every case deserves to be remembered, and every victim deserves justice. You've been watching True Crimes AI.